Hi, I'm Professor Beck Strah.
And I'm producer Brit, and you're listening to Prison Breakdown.
2, 3, break!
Hate to spoil his fun, but we're gonna bust out of here.
2, 3, break!
I'm locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
2, 3, break!
I can honestly say I'm a changed man. No danger to society here. God's honest truth.
2, 3, break!
I'm not leaving this cell. I'll get out my way. The right way.
2, 3, break!
Ahoy, dudes! Welcome back to another episode of Prison Breakdown. Today, I am joined by the producer, the broducer, and the crow-ducer.
Yes.
Brit.
Yes. The 90s Crow, not the new one.
No, who would watch that? Did you see that?
I did. I watched both of them back to back for one of my old movie podcasts, and the new one is not good. But
I bet they use like a raven or something to replace the crow, to modernize it. The raven is the modern crow, you see.
Excuse me? I don't.
It's like a bigger, better crow.
I don't think you know taxonomy.
I don't think I know how to do my taxes, is what you're saying, right?
Sure, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. What can you tell me about the new one? And which one is more goth? As a member of the goth community, I think you can represent the discussion of gothness between the Crow films.
Yeah, I mean, so the old one is far more goth and far more, I don't know, it feels just like a lot more authentic. And it knows what it's doing. It's got its own mood. It knows what it wants to be. Whereas the new Crow was like, how do we make the old Crow but new? And it's not trying to be like its own thing at all. It's just trying to be an updated, more stylized version of the old one. And it fails, like, at every point. It's not good at all. It's bad.
I don't think we don't need the shot-by-shot remakes anymore, do we?
No, we never needed any shot-by-shot remakes. The only shot-by-shot remake I will actually stand by is Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead remake is actually great.
I can't think of a single one I've seen that I think is good.
Mm-hmm.
And
there was also, what's his face? Didn't he do like a shot-by-shot remake of Psycho or something like that?
Gus Van Sant, I believe, did.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Another one we didn't need a shot-by-shot remake of. If something's good, don't remake it like that.
Yeah, especially because Gus Van Sant is like a really good filmmaker. Like, did you ever see? Was it Elephant?
I did not.
Oh my God, that's a crippling film. It's one of those films you can only ever watch once, and then you're like, yeah, I'm good. That was great, but I'm good. Yeah.
For that kind of film, it's become harder to justify using my time for like really sad and challenging movies like that sometimes.
Emotionally draining. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. If
I'm not seeing it in a theater, like I will definitely go to a theater and see these things as like appointment viewing, and then once it's out on video, I don't want to be sad at home.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. No reason.
It becomes much harder for me. Yeah, but I love when theaters have like second run films. Like our theater near here does like every Monday, it's like an older film I've never seen before. So like a Citizen Kane or a Little Shop of Horrors, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have more of that at theaters. Yeah. Celebrate the anniversary of Back to the Future's, 41st anniversary or whatever it is.
Yeah, because not enough people have seen Back to the Future.
Gotta say, my wife has never seen Back to the Future.
Excuse me?
Right?
And you married her?
Yes. You had
a baby with someone who's never seen Back to the Future?
It's insane. I know. I stand behind the decision still, but
how is she?
But there's a caveat.
She's not going to know that her kids are going to love Chuck Berry. You might, y'all might not like this, but your kids are going to love it. And then,
I think based on the era, she would be the kid.
I mean, she's like the kid of the kid of the kid. Like, that took place in what, 1955 or something like that?
Yeah. That's when they went back to, at least.
Yeah, right. Which I'm gonna make you feel bad right now. We are farther away from 1985 than 1955 was when that film was made.
So if we went back to 1985 and some kind of Back to the Future remake, it would actually be going back further in time. Is what you're saying?
If Back to the Future was made today, they would go back to 1995.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
now,
he'd like Michael J. Fox would go up on stage like, you might not get this, but your kids are gonna love it. And then he just plays like 100 gecs or some shit like that.
My nostalgia poisoned brain always thinks about eras and how the 80s was like my favorite era in terms of aesthetic, in terms of art, music, not politics, but in terms of American culture, it's the most interesting to me. What are you leaning towards?
In terms of American culture, honestly, 60s I think are very interesting. Lots of like political turmoil. Like politically, the 60s are definitely the most interesting era to me.
Yeah, Vietnam is fascinating.
I mean, you got Vietnam, you got like, actual like communist groups like the Black Panthers rising up, and then the FBI immediately shutting them down in gunfire. I don't know, it's just a lot of interesting things going on. You see the rise of like modern conservatism like start in the late 50s, early 60s, with like Barry Goldwater and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's just like super, super fascinating to like actually read about that part of history.
Even though Barry Goldwater's a scumbag, every time I hear his name, I think, oh, that's a good name.
It's a good name. He is just like, he's a scumbag. I would highly recommend the book Before the Storm, which is about Barry Goldwater and basically the rise of the modern conservative movement through the lens of his presidential campaign.
I mean, that sounds great.
It's an amazing book. Highly recommended.
Let's talk books. What books have you read lately that you can recommend to me or listeners of the pod?
Let's see. Listeners, I recently read The Map Makers. That's actually the only book I've read this year, I think, which was really good. It's just about like ancient map makers, how they made maps, the famous map makers, like how they figured out how to make maps in the first place. I think my favorite one was like how they figured out how to make maps on the sea. Because with land, it's pretty easy. You can, be like, oh, this is 100 paces away from here, and 100 paces is like this distance, and you can coordinate a lot, and you got a lot more time on land. Whereas if you're at sea, you're constantly moving, and so you got to figure out a way to basically make a map on the fly. And so what they did, like one of their main techniques, besides like using the stars and stuff like that, was they'd have a rope with knots in it, right? And they'd and there'd be like a weight at the end, and there'd be one person at the back of the ship who just like lets down the weight, and then just goes 1 knot, 2 knots, 3 knots, 4 knots, and counts up all the knots. And then when they've traveled the length of the rope, they pull the rope back in, weigh it down again, and keep going. And that's the reason that nautical miles are called knots.
That just blew my top, dude.
I know. It's so fascinating to me. Like when I learned that, I was like, whoa. It was so good.
Yeah. Okay. This sounds like my jam. I can get behind something like this, even if the topic sounds somewhat dry. Like map making sounds dry, but there has to be such fascinating processes behind it.
There are. Like I just love reading about like how they figured shit out in the ancient world with like zero technology, just like using basically the sky and the earth and the water in order to figure out where the hell we are. That's so cool to me.
Yeah. Innovation back before you had like tools to make innovation easy. Mm-hmm. That's the interesting part.
Absolutely. Big fan.
Yeah. Okay. That's encouraging. I've been mostly reading like textbooks, trying to update my classes, and nobody really wants to hear about that. Yeah. But I would recommend Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. I I audiobook that, and realizing that we all have some bad habits in our life that we need to break. It's about the process of making, like, starting with little good habits to build bigger good habits.
Right. Like everything like comes down to like good habits and discipline. And like discipline is really honestly the biggest part there, because like you can aspire to good habits as much as you want, but if you're not good at like enacting that and doing the same thing every day, you're not going to systematize it and you're not going to have success.
Discipline is hard too, especially you're feeling lazy. It is so easy to just wipe out those habits.
Right.
And, I've had a hard day, or I'm overburdened with work or childcare, or whatever it is now.
You know what it is for me lately that I've had to summon a lot of discipline to do is I'm like, I need more exercise. I'm going to stop taking elevators. Unless it's in a high rise or something, unless I'm going like more than like 5 stories. But if it's just like 5 stories or less, I'm taking the stairs. And so, it takes a little bit to muster, like walking past the elevator, walking to the stairs, and they're like, I've got, I've had I just worked like 10 hours today, but I'm gonna climb up these 3 flights of stairs. I actually carried my girlfriend up some stairs the other day, and that was actually great. 3 flights. It was something else.
Honestly, that sounds great. Do you have to climb a lot of stairs as a post officer?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got several apartment complexes, and I'm always climbing stairs to drop off packages, especially.
See, that rules. All right, to the listener, climb some stairs. Do yourself a service. It doesn't take that much effort. We've all climbed some stairs before. That's a very abled statement, but if you're able, climb some stairs.
If you got some working legs that can climb some stairs, do it.
Yeah, if you're not, take a Vader. The podcast calls them Vaders because I think that's cool. No. This is not a Star Wars podcast. Wait, and Disney does not like it when you do that.
Nope. Don't you mean
All right, let's move on to some news.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
Fresh news, hot off the razor wire.
All right, so this one comes from corrections1.com, your one-stop source for everything corrections news. So, title of this article is Honeybees Buzz into Massachusetts for New Prison Beekeeping Program.
Oh, I like this.
So this comes out of Norfolk, Massachusetts. This article is written by Irene Rotondo. Great name. So at Pondville Correctional Facility, tens of thousands of honeybees are hard at work inside wooden boxes about 40 yards from the facility. They're buzzing audible to inmates in the yard. By next spring, a dozen incarcerated men hope to don protective suits to join them and learn the art of beekeeping as part of the Massachusetts Department of Corrections' first prison program on the topic. A dream finally taking flight after a decade, thanks to a retired English teacher's belief that these small creatures can teach the largest life lessons. Quote, what makes a good beekeeper is someone who can plan and have impulse control, who can focus, be mindful, calm, and cautious. They need to be involved in nature, be interested in themselves and others, and have empathy, unquote, said Susan Goldwitz, 75. She continues, these were qualities that I realized that people I was teaching at correctional facilities would benefit from. It's exactly what I want my students who are incarcerated to be learning about. So, Pondville Correctional Center in Norfolk is a minimum security pre-release facility that houses up to 160 male inmates. As the men prepare to return to society after their time served, they participate in numerous programs such as assistance dog training, online education, and English language workshops, vocational training for automotive work, and OSHA, and more. Which sounds like a great lineup of, prison programs.
Yeah, OSHA is pretty popular in prisons, teaching like basic construction skills, and there's an OSHA program that teaches them the basics of OSHA compliance.
Oh, that's great. Love that.
Yeah,
gotta stay safe,
Yeah, but bees, that is a fantastic idea for a program.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that the world could use more bees.
Oh, definitely. 100%. And like, yeah, bees help nature. You know, a lot of people are averse to bees because some people are allergic and I'm going to get stung, you know, which I get for allergic people. But if you're not allergic, like, I don't know. I had a girlfriend back in the day who would like literally like run away from bees, like full on sprint whenever they'd see one. And I'm like, you're not allergic, are you? And they're like, no, I'm afraid of getting stung. I'm like, it's just a little pain. It's no big deal, you know.
You leave the bee alone. Most often, they will leave you alone.
Yeah.
I have been around bees way more times than I've been stung by bees.
Oh, 100%. Like, I am around bees, wasps, and hornets, like, all the time because they love to build their nests in mailboxes. Their hives in mailboxes.
Yeah, I think this is a plot against postal workers, actually.
I think so. I mean, it's... So the thing about, like, you know, post boxes is they're big metal boxes that sit in the sun all day. And you know what bugs love is the heat. They love the heat.
Yeah.
They love the dark. They love enclosed spaces that feel safe to them. And there is nothing like a mailbox for all three of those things.
Also a great point. I think that there is also such a barrier to beekeeping. There's this barrier to entry where even though I think it's cool, I'm not going to just go out tomorrow and pick up protective gear and start beekeeping. I have no idea what I am doing.
Right. I mean, and you have the space, though. You could beekeep if you wanted to.
I could beekeep if I wanted to, but I also have no idea what I'm doing. So bringing it to your home, like they're doing with these inmates, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because why not? I'm incarcerated. This is a cool skill. I can actually turn this into some kind of trade on the outside.
Right, exactly. You know, they could just get out and open their own honey farms. You know, they don't have to work for anybody. You know, the startup costs are pretty minimal. You just buy a bunch of bees and some racks, and they make their own stuff. It's pretty cool.
Let me tell you something I learned recently. Honey is like one of the most toxic things for infants.
Yeah.
You can't give someone under 6 months honey. It is a terrible idea. Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah. I mean,
I did not do it, but I learned it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things in there, especially like local pollens and stuff, like things that, you know, infants have not built any sort of immunities to yet. And so you got to get them acclimated to their environment before you basically feed them a spoonful of their environment.
Yeah, here you go, kid.
Yeah, eat the house.
Yeah, I'm gonna feed our house to him.
Yeah, just spoonful by spoonful. By the time you're an adult, you're gonna have eaten this whole house, baby.
Yeah, it makes you stronger. Do you remember that French guy who ate a plane years ago?
Yeah, I do. He did it like piece by piece by piece. Imagine the morning after for that poor guy. Just like, do you think...
Imagine every day for this poor guy.
Right? Just like sitting on the toilet, just like passing a plane. Like, come on. No. That's got to be the worst feeling of all time.
Yeah, I forget his name, but he would eat like light bulbs and screws and nuts and bolts. For what reason? You're not really enjoying this. You are trying to be interesting.
His name is Michel Lotito. Yes,
he's dead now. For the listener, also listener, don't try that at home. You don't need to.
No. Now he was able to consume up to 2 pounds of metal per day, and he started doing that at the age of 16, and he lived to 55.
It's a nice ripe age of 55.
Okay, here's my very favorite thing in his Wikipedia. So Lotito holds the record for the strangest diet in the Guinness Book of World Records. He was awarded a plaque made of brass by the publishers to commemorate his abilities. He ate his award. He ate his award.
Yes. I believe he also ate several bicycles in his life. I mean, the plane outweighs everything.
Yeah,
the plane's huge.
No, not several bicycles. 18 bicycles in his life. 15 shopping carts, a waterbed, 6 chandeliers, a computer, 2 beds, 7 television sets, 45 door hinges. Don't tell Eminem. And a coffin.
He could have, like, people could have used these things. I hope he was like buried in this coffin that he ate. That they just like repieced it together.
They just waited at the toilet for the coffin to come out and reconstructed it.
Yeah, just passing through his system. That would be incredible.
Yeah, there's just like two carpenters just like hanging out in the bathroom with him, just like, wait, don't flush, don't flush, don't flush, don't flush.
Where do you start with a coffin? And this, I assume it's a lined coffin too. So there's like stuffing and padding,
Sure.
which is the least gross part of it.
No, that's pretty gross. I mean, wouldn't it be the wildest thing if it was a used coffin?
Yeah, that would be the wildest thing, actually. It's absolutely inconceivable.
Why does this taste like formaldehyde? Oh.
You know what? I'm done with this line. I cannot go further. Too icky.
Let's continue on this article here.
Please.
Sorry? Yeah. So the bees are currently tended to by Best Bees, a professional beekeeping service that installs and manages beehives on residential and commercial properties around the country. Wouldn't that be a cool job to have? Just installing bees?
Yeah, it would be amazing. And do you think anyone has ever gotten them mixed up with Best Buy? Like they call Best Bees instead of Best Buy?
Probably. And then like the bee guys show up and they're like, "Hey, the Geek Squad's here," and they're like, "No,
we're the Freak Squad."
Right?
Yeah,
we're the Bee Squad. Bee.
Beekeeping.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, BK. We call them BK, like Burger King. Beekeeping.
BK. All right, please continue. The Best Bees.
So this partnership that Goldwitz, the teacher, pioneered between Best Bees and the Massachusetts Department of Corrections, aims to ultimately allow about a dozen incarcerated men per year to learn from the professional beekeepers and classroom curriculum on the art, which checks all of the boxes on the reentry front, said DOC Commissioner Sean Jenkins. He says, quote, "This particular program is unique because it gets folks outside and engaging with nature, giving them an opportunity to develop skills that help when they re-enter back into their communities," Jenkins said. Without Goldwitz's persistence and help, the program would have never gotten off the ground, he said. So good for everyone involved there. That sounds like a nice program. I love, honestly, like whenever they bring any living creature that's not a human into a prison, I think it's pretty much a good thing. Like there's I don't think any cases I can think of where like someone's brought an animal into prison. I'm like, that's bad news, you know, unless it's like a drug sniffing dog.
Or like a tiger or something like that. But
I don't think that's ever happened. Why? Like is that when like Mike Tyson went to prison? He's like, "Can I bring my pet?" And they're like, I tried to lisp that, and I'm like, no, there's no lispy thing in that.
Yeah, there's no. But it was a good try. I saw you trying to do it, and I was really looking forward to seeing where this is going.
Yeah,
but,
sorry. Yeah.
I agree, though. I think teaching somebody responsibility for anything outside of themselves, great.
Yeah.
Especially for inmates who have not had, a lot of them have historically not had a lot of responsibilities, or they've not taken control of those responsibilities. So putting that on them in an isolated setting maybe gives them more of an impetus to care for something that's not themselves. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Cats, dogs,
we've talked about cat programs. Yeah.
I think they're all great. All good. Well,
so let's see more beekeeping programs. Let's roll it out.
Hell yeah. Well, that's all I got for the news. Yeah. You wanna move on to the main? Whoa, no. First,
shut up.
First,
we're not doing that.
First, we got to give a shout out to our sponsor.
I'd like to thank Roger Williams University School of Justice Studies.
I would also like to thank Roger Williams University School of Justice Studies.
Now, if I was looking to get a degree in criminal justice or legal studies or political science or anthropology and sociology or
public management, maybe.
Yeah.
How about forensic science?
Oh, yeah.
How about
forensic science.
Cloud computing? Does that sound good?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Yeah, I mean they've got so many degree offerings, all types of stuff to bolster your knowledge and send you out into the world more prepared for the competitive workforce of today.
That would be Roger Williams University School of Justice Studies. Thank you for sponsoring this podcast. We appreciate you as our patron and our provider.
Yeah, thank you so much. Roger Williams University School of Justice Studies.
Now, shall we move on to the main event?
Let's get into it.
That was good. Very Halloween coded, very clap clap. I like the whole thing.
Thank you. That's my Halloween-esque songs.
Let me put it out there. That bass line. Ooh, stupendous.
Thank you. I made that one myself.
I know you did. As producer Brit makes all the tunes and jams for this podcast.
I do. I certainly do. So, what are we talking about on this fine day?
For today, we are discussing the Los Angeles County Twin Towers Correctional Facility, a place that we discussed on our last episode, talking about the film Mean Guns.
Mm-hmm.
If the Mean Guns, we can think of like a light appetizer. This is the meal. This is the entree that comes full with dessert.
Yes.
It's like if you get a meal at the Olive Garden or an Outback Steakhouse.
This also comes with unlimited soup, salad, and breadsticks.
Yes. But instead of that, it comes with a dose of information that is concerning. Mm-hmm. But that's like a breadstick.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
So let me give a primer on this men's facility, which is also called the Twin Towers Jail. Mm-hmm. It is in Los Angeles, sitting on the edge of Chinatown. The facility itself is 1.5 million square feet. Consider that amount of space. That is huge. This includes 2 towers of jail facility. It is also a medical services building. It is also the LA County Medical Center jail ward. And the Twin Towers themselves hold about 2,800 inmates, which is a pretty large facility. Mm-hmm. It is operated by the LA County Sheriff's Department, and it is actually considered the largest mental health facility in the United States.
Really? So it's a mental health facility. So is this like is this considered like an asylum?
It is not. It is just a jail. Oh. And that sucks because we don't actually have the resources to treat the mentally ill as we should in any jails. So during Mean Guns, it was empty during the time of filming because they didn't have the operating funds. Mm-hmm. And LA County at the time actually had to pay deputy sheriffs to be security at the facility so they could prevent people from breaking in. It's like if you ever watch any of those YouTube videos about abandoned malls, they always have people on site to prevent people from breaking in. Mm-hmm. Because somebody's always going to break in and inevitably somebody gets hurt. Somebody gets like electrocuted trying to strip copper wire, that kind of thing.
Yeah, just liability things,
Yeah, totally. So this jail is based on the panopticon design that allows officers in a central room to look through this like a central tower into the units, but the inmates can't actually see back in there. Inmates don't know they're being observed. So the philosophy is inmates will be on better behavior. Mm-hmm. Now, in 2020, February of 2020, a profile by NPR examined the mental health programs at the facility. I'll let you take a guess. Do you think these were good, bad, or middling?
I'm going to guess bad.
It's not promising. I can tell you that. This article described a dozen young men standing around. They're all wearing suicide smocks. They're eating sack lunches. They are all chained and handcuffed to metal tables that are bolted to the floor. And they're handcuffed to these tables because they're mentally ill and deemed more unpredictable in the jail. If they don't take their medications, they will end up more unpredictable. But none of us think that shackling somebody to a table is helpful for treating mental illness.
No, definitely not.
It also sends a message that we don't trust you to act like adults.
It's also just, it sends the message that, like, hey, you're not human and you don't deserve the dignity and respect of a human being. We're going to chain you up like an animal.
And not even like an animal, like a bad animal, like a rabid dog or something.
Right.
And the director of mental health for the jail themselves does not sound all that impressed. They acknowledge that the jail has become the largest mental health treatment in the U.S., and jails are not the best place for mental health treatment. And this has now become the purpose of the Twin Towers jail. It used to be a regular jail with a mental health floor, and then slowly over time, as mental health conditions worsened for many people, and the jail became a mental health facility. And they have a men's central jail nearby that houses non-mentally ill inmates. So the transformation started in around 2015. It was like 20% of LA County inmates. And this has grown to like a third of the inmate population by 2020.
Oh, wow.
And so by comparison, it's only like 4.6% of the greater US population experiencing serious mental health disorders versus like 33% of inmates in LA County. And this is not just taking place overnight. Like this is a transformation that we have seen over the past 60 years, with mental hospitals closing due to abuses or due to cost-cutting measures, and jails become the new asylums. Now, I assume you're familiar with this trend that's been happening.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, my most conservative, like, political stance, honestly, is reopen the asylums. Like, it's, I don't know. We need a centralized place for unsafe people to be safe, but also get the treatment that they need. And jail or prison is not a safe place for these people. For anybody involved, not for the correctional officers, because they don't have the training to deal with, seriously mentally ill people. Not like orderlies do, or, nurses do. It's not safe for them. It's not safe for the prisoners, because you're putting a bunch of mentally ill people in one location, which, if you don't keep them separated and you don't have people who are trained specifically to deal with that in like conflict de-escalation and mental illness de-escalation, like you're only going to end up with more problems. For sure. Like people who are more like trigger happy on a taser, you don't need that. No.
It's interesting. They actually did make a change in Massachusetts years ago, changing the Bridgewater facility, which was run by the Department of Corrections. Now it's like overseen by the Department of Corrections, but it's run by a different department that focuses more on the mental health of the inmates rather than like as a custody measure.
That sounds good. That sounds responsible, or at least a step in the right direction.
It does, yeah. The problem is like we have no magic bullet for any of this. There's no panacea to like make things better across the board.
But there is. But it's called reopening the asylums.
Yeah, the problem is like many of the asylums that closed, there were seeing like widespread abuses in them. So we would have to do that with some kind of proper oversight too, if we're ever going to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, oversight's a good thing in general. Like, prisons really don't have that much oversight.
They need more, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's tons of. I mean, there's probably the same incident of abuses in prisons. They're just they find themselves, differently than just like abusing inmates, and there's a lot of other stuff to consider. A lot of dirty and corrupt corrections officers doing stuff.
Oh, we're going to get into that later in this episode. Just you wait. That's the dessert. So I should mention for anyone out there who's curious. So this is the largest mental health center in the United States. Numbers 2 and 3, Cook County Jail in Chicago and Rikers Island in New York.
But those are considered mental health facilities? Wow. Wow. We're doing a real disservice to our prison populations. Those are just prisons.
They're just large jails. That is it.
Yeah, those are just like prisons that happen to have like a couple nurses on staff giving medications out. Like, that's not a mental health facility.
Now, did you know it's something like a third of people with mental illness only get into treatment after they have encounters with the police for the first time?
That's wild.
Yeah, it creates a humanitarian crisis. Like, most hospitals are not equipped. They don't have the beds to take on that many mental health patients, but you shouldn't have to commit a crime and enter the criminal justice system in order to get mental health care. That's the problem we're seeing.
Yeah.
But as we know, it's a tricky situation, even trying to get data on this. There's no larger agency that keeps track of the number of people incarcerated in city or county jails with mental illness or tracks their average length of stay. We don't have data to illustrate these greater points.
Mm-hmm.
And lacking this, it's difficult to have any kind of real accountability or real oversight apparatus, any kind of real system in place.
Yes, true.
So the initial idea here was, let's empty the asylums and then let's transfer custody over to community mental health care and support services. So that's the idea. Like, let's empty them onto the streets and then we can have community agencies pick up the slack. And of course, this never happens. Instead, we get tougher sentencing under war on drugs and war on crime policies. We had all these funding cuts to housing assistance and to mental health. And this all culminates in a shitstorm of failed policies that push mentally ill persons into jails and into prisons.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what research says about jail for people with mental illness?
Oh, it's bad.
You think it's good for them?
It's bad for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even being incarcerated for a couple of days can double incarceration rates for low risk individuals with mental illness. So like
Wild.
It adds to recidivism. It's notable because jail time can also result in people like losing their jobs or their housing or their cars. Now, that's a little background context for the listener. We're going back to the Twin Towers facility. The facility was not built for programs. It's built as a jail. Jail is such a transitory place that there's, generally speaking, fewer programs in jails than there are in prisons.
Mm-hmm.
And in Twin Towers, there's no real space for privacy. There's no group rooms, confidential spaces. And there were 10 psychiatrist jobs that went unfilled between 2018 and 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, It's bad. So inmates, they're supposed to see psych services every 2 weeks. And this turns into once a month because they don't have people. They do get to see social workers around once a week, but that's hard. And they are also lacking inpatient beds. They need around 200 beds.
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, they had about 50 beds. And this expanded in June 2025. So pretty recently, adding new inpatient beds. And the facility is working on compliance. They're working on shorter time to placement and treatment and more beds in the community.
Mm-hmm.
But the emphasis here, as you said, it's on medication. It's less on therapy. There's just not the resources for good therapy. Group programs are lacking. There's a lot of suicide restraints that you'll see around the facility.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it's not the best course of treatment. There have been a number of lawsuits that forced change at the jail too. Mm-hmm. One case focused on accusations of abuse and beating by COs, and that resulted in putting court-appointed monitors in the jail system to head up civilian oversight. It resulted in some better training, and that has been helpful. It has resulted in fewer use of force incidents overall. And to Los Angeles' credit, they have implemented a better housing and treatment program focused on diversion from jail. Now, what does diversion mean to you? You hear that term?
Diversion.
Mental health.
So diversion is for mental health is so kind of like quelling or stopping like mental health crises by preventative care, whether it be medication, whether it be therapy, just intervening before something bad happens.
Yeah, totally. So let's not put people in jail. Let's find people helpful resources instead, because as I said, jail is not helpful and it actually increases recidivism rates for the mentally ill and actually for non-mentally ill persons too.
Yeah.
So the idea here is funneling people into treatment and supportive housing. And LA has started a program where if inmates complete a 2-year program any participants in this program get their cases dismissed. If they get booted from the program, if they don't finish the program, they go back to jail.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
But they live in these houses in central LA together. There's a case manager, there's therapists. They put people together to try and form a community where there's no locked gates, there's no guards. There's like a binder at the front desk that they have to sign in and sign out. That's about it.
All right, kind of
So
like
it's
this.
promising.
This sounds good. Yeah. Kind of sounds like a halfway house type situation.
It really does. It sounds a lot like that. And it turns out that using this kind of housing saves money because jail is actually a lot more expensive. Jail costs like 5 times as much as this.
Yeah, because like giving a person like a room and a bed is not that expensive. Giving them a room and a bed and like an average of like 1/2 correctional officer to watch them all the time, that costs a lot of money. Like the labor cost is absurd for watching prisoners.
Yeah. It is. And you consider like where I worked as corrections deputy, it would be, I think our limit was like around 70 people. So say 64 people most of the time to a unit. So 1/64th of a corrections officer per person.
Yeah.
That still adds up quickly.
Right.
Especially when you have in our facility like 2,000 inmates.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of inpatient housing is pretty good, and there's lower recidivism rates when you look at the program versus jail.
Mm-hmm.
So great. But the problem that they're facing is like, how do they scale this program to meet the needs of people in Los Angeles County? There's like 5,000 people with some kind of mental illness just cycling in and out of Los Angeles custody. And they need around 3,000 beds to meet this kind of demand. In a single house that they're using, like the example house in one of the articles had 22 beds. So how do you actually scale that up is the problem. It's a pickle.
You build. See. Here's the thing. They never have a problem with finding land, resources, beds, anything to build a giant prison. But if you're going to just build a giant apartment building, suddenly that becomes a huge problem for them.
Right. It's for either it's going to be a not in my backyard problem. But especially when people can leave the facility, people really don't want that in their backyard.
Yeah. I mean, and I believe it's the opinion of this podcast that NIMBYism is trash and like it halts progress in general. Like, it like NIMBYism is like 99% of the time just anti-science people, anti-science homeowners who are like, no, I don't want the statistically responsible thing to be done anywhere near me because it will inconvenience me in some slight way.
I'll have to see something that I find mildly unpleasant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Like, and that's it's such a problem because like we know that the only way to solve problems really is to kind of condense them and deal with the problem all at once instead of finding a whole bunch of disparate pockets of the same problem. And you see this in like safe injection sites, especially, like if you don't have a safe injection site or a safe use site, people are going to be out sharing needles on the street, leaving needles places where, and people are going to see that no matter what. But if you create a safe injection site, all of these people are centrally located to where they can, get help for a lot of different things and get a lot of resources and services. But at that point, you're talking about hiring, clinicians instead of cops. And, we know that every city can always find money for cops, but when it comes to finding money for medical care, the money's just not there.
Weird how that works, huh?
Yeah, it's very strange.
Our resources have just dried up, unless it's hiring more cops.
Right. Endless, limitless money for imprisoning people in war, but everything else, how are we going to pay for that?
When we have actually found like really solid results through programs like Cahoots, which I believe is an Oregon-based program where It's pairing cops with social workers. They've done similar things in Seattle as well.
They have. The crisis response team is actually seen in Seattle like a whole lot. They find that when using the crisis response team instead of cops, like there's something like a 70 or 80% lower incidence of like violence towards cops, something like that.
Yeah.
It's dramatic, and like people are going to be like, oh well, see this news article, this person on a crisis response team in some state got killed on the job. I'm like, yeah, that happens to cops too. Like these people know they're taking the risk when they take that job, and it's an unfortunate thing that happens, but it's a pretty rare thing. And are we going to just subject these mentally ill people to endless violence, or are we going to maybe try to actually help them? You know, it's a question we have to ask ourselves as a society, and we always choose the latter.
I vote for the
former.
The helping
former.
Yeah,
we never choose the latter.
Yeah, that is really the issue. I met the two guys heading up that crisis response team back in 2014 in Seattle. So Seattle's been using it for over 10 years. And I met them in Amsterdam at a conference, and I thought like, wow, this is really like cutting edge shit.
Yeah.
And it's only expanded more across the state since then, which is great to see.
I want to say it was modeled after something that started in Denver, if I'm not mistaken. And they've been doing it for even longer than us. But they've seen a ton of success in both programs, and wherever they enact a program like this, they see nothing but success. And yeah, maybe sometimes violence does happen to one of the people in the crisis response team, but once again, cops get killed on the job all the time. I mean, not all the time, a lot less than they'd like to let you think with their thin blue line flags. But you know, violence is a reality of responding to mental health crisis. And so once again, you want someone who's actually equipped to deal with this and trained to deal with this, instead of just some guy who's equipped and trained to use a gun and handcuffs.
Yeah, agreed. And using like CIT programs, CRT programs. So the CIT program is something I've been evaluating here in Rhode Island for the last 3-4 years. And it's training cops to recognize the symptoms of mental illness and training them in diversionary tactics, trying to keep them out of the jail system, trying to find them beds, trying to find them help. And part of the problem we're seeing is that, like, even with best laid plans, we end up with like too few beds when it comes to hospitals and mental health centers. And every county has a different amount of resources that they can use. So in the area I am, there's not a lot of resources for diversion, even when we're seeing best efforts. And so we need to pump up the apparatus and build more infrastructure.
Right. And it literally, most of the time, it just comes down to funding. You know, it's where are you putting your money? Are you putting it into actual diversionary tactics, or are you just throwing a whole bunch more money towards cops? And we know what the answer always is.
So, moving forward with this, in 2015, the LA jail system, all of the LA jail system, not just the Twin Towers facility, got put on a mandatory federal monitoring program by the Department of Justice, demanding they address inadequate healthcare resources and reports of excessive force from corrections officers in the jails. So that started in 2015, and by late 2022, the jail had still not met the basic levels of compliance to show more humane levels of treatment. And at this time, the county is failing to provide meaningful group therapy, and most severely mentally ill people were not getting their required time outside of their cells. And this is a big thing. It's a tricky topic. And I worked mental health units quite a bit. We had one called 5 North. And 5 North, I think there were 17 or 18 cells. Everybody in the unit they were supposed to get an hour outside of their cell every day. If they're acting erratically, which can be interpreted however the corrections officer wanted it to be, the person sometimes would not be given time out of their cell. Which the rationale being that it would be difficult to get them back in the cell. The problem is some officers, if they're feeling lazy, can just be like acting erratically, leading to like days of an individual not getting out.
Right. This sounds incredibly counterproductive too, because it's like this person is acting out, has like too much energy, and so we're just gonna keep them sitting there on a bed. Like, just let them out. Let them get some of their wiggles out. Let them into the yard. Come on.
Not even a yard. It's really just like a
room.
Maybe a 10 by 20 rectangular room it has like a vent to the outside.
Let them into the slightly larger room.
Yeah. Let them shake their sillies out.
Yeah.
Gotta shake my sillies out. Shake.
So LA County, they're still in the process of working on federal compliance now. Years later, they've had some extensions, still a work in progress. But we see that the Twin Towers are over capacity. Most of the inmates here, over 60% of people incarcerated in the Twin Towers, are people transitory. They're in and out of jail. But there are 5 people in the facility who have been incarcerated since the year 2000, and another 126 people who have been locked up here for 5 to 10 years. And jails are not places where people should be incarcerated long term. They don't have the resources. They don't have like the programs and the correctional resources to try and like correct behavior.
Now, question for you. So jails typically are for like a year holding max, right? Are these people being kept in jail because of their mental health status? Like, why are they still there?
I can't answer that question because I don't actually have insight into who those inmates are or what they did.
Right.
But yeah, jails are typically free for holding people up to a year. So like either pretrial, which there's no way that you're still pretrial after 25 years.
Right, or up to
not
like
happening.
Class A misdemeanor type stuff.
Even a lot of people sentenced on felonies are sentenced there, but it's because like 95% of felony cases they receive plea bargains. So you receive a year or less through plea bargain, you're potentially still doing time at the jail. So I have no idea how these people have slipped through the cracks. It is unclear. It was something that was pointed out in one of these articles that I was reading on the facility. I do want to touch on also, there were notable programs with this facility throughout the COVID pandemic. There was no fresh air. There's no soap and water, no air filtration, no room for social distancing, lack of protective gear, no enforcement of COVID protocols. Inmates were given masks, but they were given cloth masks that they were supposed to wash themselves. And that's hard because soap and water, they didn't always have those. So, like if an inmate on my row of cells floods, sometimes they shut off the water, and that means they shut off the water to like all the cells in that row. So how are you supposed to do anything about that? If you don't have water, you can't wash a mask.
Right. Also, like they're in a closed facility. They can't like get away from COVID if it enters the facility. Like, and it will enter the facility because there's a lot of corrections officers there. And we all know there are a lot of corrections officers are, how do I put this, conservative and don't believe in vaccines.
Well, they were also hesitant to wear masks, the corrections officers during this time, and they were inconsistent about it at best.
Great. Perfect.
And they only tested inmates when they entered the facility. So inmates were not the ones spreading COVID. If COVID was spread around in the facility, there's corrections officers who don't believe in masks, potentially guilty for that. And inmates weren't being tested otherwise while they were there.
Great.
Yeah. So in 2022, LA County was sued for a total of $11.5 million following mistreatment of inmates. $7 million of those dollars went to the family of 67-year-old Wesley Alacario, who was beaten so severely he ended up in a permanent vegetative state. Staff had housed this guy, Wesley, he's a feeble older guy. He had some severe emotional and mental disorders. They housed him with another mentally ill guy who is known for violent behaviors and preying on vulnerable inmates.
Great.
So that's bad.
Yeah.
And Wesley Alacario didn't even belong in the unit where he was. So he was classified to this moderate observation unit, but he needed more acute care. It was documented he had active psychosis, this decompensating behavior. He would be like lying on the floor naked, like making noises, soaked in urine. That's not a guy who belongs in like medium level care.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that's an extreme case.
It's an extreme case. And his wife and daughter alleged that officials showed indifference to inmate safety. They were negligent in their duties. They won $7 million in this lawsuit. Now, $4.5 million went to the family of Randall Carrier III, who died after staff failed to provide him with proper treatment for severe asthma. He comes in, he goes to the nurse, hey, help, I think I have some kind of respiratory infection. I need my inhaler. And it gets worse and worse, and he didn't get anything. And he asked staff for an inhaler multiple times, apparently. They were like, yeah, we'll get back to you. And he died.
Wow.
Which is just negligence.
Just savagery. Like, come on. Like, we live in a first world country. Like, getting an inhaler can't be that hard. Come on.
You would hope not.
Yeah.
Now, Mother Jones ranked the Twin Towers jail as one of the 10 worst county jails in the United States in 2013. At the time, the ACLU was getting about 4,500 complaints each year from the LA jail system.
Wow.
They described the facility as overflowing, and there were eyewitnesses, including jail chaplains, who reported the deputies were prone to attack inmates for small infractions or even just being entirely unprovoked and attacking inmates.
Mm-hmm.
There was an allegation here that an inmate was injured in an attack by multiple deputies, and then he was marched down a jail module as one deputy yelled, "Gay boy walking," and then the inmate was beaten and raped by other inmates while deputies watched.
God.
The LA Sheriff's Department spokesman, Stephen Whitmore, says none of this happened. He claims the man was assaulted by other inmates when they heard that this inmate had been reading other inmates' mail and contacting their girlfriends. Spokesman Whitmore says there's no evidence he was raped and no evidence that anybody ever said "gay boy walking." So I'll leave it to you to interpret.
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical of the guy whose job it is to say this didn't happen.
In 2012, the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, they filed a lawsuit, Rosas v. Luna, against the Sheriff's Department, which included a 30-page compendium of staff brutality.
Wow.
This included a lot of staff tormenting and beating handcuffed inmates, taunting them with homophobic slurs, and kicking, punching, and just basically torturing inmates in that way. And here's a couple of examples. The first one, allegedly, an inmate talks to an ACLU representative. ACLU representative leaves. 2 officers hit the man repeatedly with a flashlight in the face and in the knees. Then they pepper sprayed him and threw him down a flight of stairs. One of the deputies yelled after him, "You fucking whiners, tell this to the ACLU. I dare you."
Yeah, he definitely just made that up. Sure. Yeah. Never happened. Yeah, he's just got a very vivid imagination of you can imagine exactly what correctional officers would do. No.
Here's another example. In another alleged incident, deputies thought an inmate called them gay. They retaliated by slamming the dude's head, by bouncing his head off a concrete wall. That caused a concussion and a laceration that required 35 stitches. He was then kicked, punched, pepper sprayed, and shocked with a taser.
It's typical closeted behavior.
That's what closeted dudes are about, right?
I'm not gay. No. Bam, bam, bam.
So the sheriff, though, he's going to get to the bottom of this. I have faith that the sheriff will do the right thing. Don't you?
Always. The sheriff always does the right thing. If things are going wrong, I'm like, we can always count on the sheriff.
So Sheriff Baca is his name. Lee Baca. He admitted that he has some deputies who did some terrible things. And Sheriff Baca pledged to get personally engaged in jail oversight in 2013. And then he resigned in 2014.
Perfect.
And 3 years later, in 2017, former Sheriff Baca was sentenced to 36 months in federal prison for trying to obstruct a federal investigation into corruption and civil rights abuses at the county jail facilities.
Wow. I mean, I'm going to say this is surprising, but it's only surprising that they actually prosecuted him for it.
It is. Honestly, I knew nothing about this, but here's the story. It's fascinating. So Baca was convicted on 3 felony counts for conspiracy to obstruct justice, for obstruction of justice, and making false statements to federal investigators. He was also fined $7,500
Ooh,
And so
big
this
money.
was in 2017. He did his 3 years. Most recently, he made headlines for wandering off like Uncle Junior in The Sopranos. Um, and he's not a well man now.
Yeah.
But to the case, U.S. District Judge Percy Anderson presided over trials leading to 21 convictions of former members of the sheriff's office who tried to obstruct justice, including Sheriff Baca's former undersheriff Paul Tanaka.
So what you're saying is this was a grand conspiracy.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not even to like the best part of the story.
Okay. Keep going.
It was not a conspiracy theory. It was an actual conspiracy going on.
Yeah.
Where 11 deputies are convicted on federal charges related to unprovoked beatings of inmates and cover-ups. And the judge said Baca knew what he was doing was wrong, and he had no problem using his office to further his own agenda. So this investigation into Baca starts in August 2011. The sheriff's deputies, they're doing cell searches and in the men's central jail right next door to the Twin Towers.
Sure.
And they find a cell phone in an inmate's cell. And they linked the phone to the FBI's Civil Rights Squad. And they found out that the inmate was an FBI informant. And this FBI informant had a cell phone smuggled into the jail by a deputy who took bribes. You following so far?
Yeah.
So the FBI developed this informant, this incarcerated person, as part of an investigation into the county jail system because they're seeing years of allegations around inmate abuse and cover-ups of that abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So Sheriff Baca found out about this informant after they captured the cell phone, and he ordered a criminal investigation of the FBI agents conducting the investigation.
Amazing.
Oh, and here's the best part. He made his people conceal the informant, so the informant couldn't talk to the FBI. There's the obstruction of justice right there.
Wow.
It's straight up witness tampering. And then he threatened to arrest the head FBI agent on the case for investigating him.
Wow. I mean,
so all this came back around and bit him in the ass. But wow, what a story, huh?
Yeah, that's something else. That's predictable, but like I'm very surprised he actually got a conviction, much less like 11 other officers got convicted. That's rare, but you'll love to see it, when people in power are actually held to account.
Yeah, when people in power abuse that authority, especially like something that is so like intentional, trying to subvert the establishment here. So that's the story. That's a scoop on the Twin Towers jail. I want to touch on some notable inmates who have been held here.
Yeah, let's do it.
First, we have The Game. You familiar with The Game?
Oh, from G Unit.
He was more loosely affiliated with G Unit.
Oh, okay.
He was never a member of G Unit.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I know like he had a big falling out with 50 Cent, which is why he like kind of like his star fell.
Oh, for sure. He has not been heard of barely since This Is How We Do.
Sure.
So he allegedly threatened a person with a gun while he was at a basketball game.
Sure.
We also have Paris Hilton. Are you familiar with this name? Paris Hilton.
Very familiar with Paris Hilton.
She was held in the jail on a probation violation from a reckless driving case.
Oh.
And she was released from the jail 4 days later by the sheriff on a medical issue. And then the press is like, hey, look at this sheriff. He's showing favoritism for celebrities. So they brought her back into the jail again.
Okay, I like that. That's kind of funny.
It's funny. You feel for her because she's caught up in this whole thing. And she's like, oh, I'm going home. Oh, I have to go back to jail.
Right.
But
So,
what can you do?
There's no like take backsies when you release someone from jail. Come on.
Well, if the press criticizes you, then you do.
Wild.
We also have a Danny Masterson who was held here for a while.
Yes, the famous rapist.
Famous That 70s Show rapist sentenced to 30 years in prison for raping 2 women in the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. Do you know of Dr. Conrad Murray?
Sounds familiar.
He was a personal doctor to one Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah. The guy who killed him. Yeah.
Yeah. He was convicted of involuntary manslaughter for MJ's death.
Yeah.
What about Robert Durst? Does that name ring any bells?
Oh, yes. The famous rich killer. I thought he was in New York, no?
He was held here for a short spell. Okay. He is a very New York guy, though. Yeah. I remember watching that documentary, and he's definitely in New York for it.
Yeah, that was a good documentary.
We also have a man named Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, yes. Well familiar.
He was charged and convicted of rape and sexual assault in LA. Got 16 years. What about a Steve O?
Steve O. I know several Steve O's, but I assume you're talking about the one of Jackass fame.
That is correct. He got his story's the best. He was charged with creating a false emergency, trespassing, and illegal fireworks use.
Mm-hmm.
He watched the Blackfish documentary, and then he climbed up a crane in Hollywood as a protest against SeaWorld. He gets to the top of this crane and he sets off fireworks, and he carried an inflatable orca up with him that had SeaWorld sucks written on it. And he was wearing a Blackfish t-shirt. He spent 9 hours in jail, and he got 3 years of probation, and he was ordered to stay away from the Hollywood Entertainment District. He was also not allowed to possess fireworks. And finally, we have Ron Jeremy. You familiar with him?
Oh, very. I was actually talking about Ron Jeremy last night because one of my friends has met him.
Oh, he's a world-class creep.
Yes, 100%.
He was charged with sexual battery, rape, and other forms of sexual assault involving 21 alleged victims. Charges date back to 1996. He was eventually found incompetent to stand trial due to dementia, and he was transferred to his private residence. Victims were not happy about this.
Yeah. I understand that. At the same time, like, he is like severely demented. I don't know. That's one of those things where I get both sides of that story.
Yeah, it was more of a subversion of justice for the victims, but also severely mentally ill. And we don't want people sticking around the Twin Towers if they are experiencing mental illness, no matter what their crime is.
Yeah, apparently so my friend, when he met him, he did this trick where apparently he can like control his erection by breathing in and out. Like if he takes a deep breath in, like he can like make it erect. And he was like doing that trick, and my friend was like, "Gross, get away from me."
That's disgusting. And he would like do this at parties?
Yeah, you do this like in the middle of bars and stuff.
Oh, that is extra weird. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Unpleasant to be around this man.
Yes.
Now, that's all I have to say about the LA Twin Towers jail. Let's move on to a delightful segment.
Let's get into a movie minute.
Movie minute. Movie minute. 60 seconds with producer Brit to talk about movies.
All right, let's put 60 seconds on the clock. So, last time, Judge Strah sentenced me to watch Sudden Death. So, Sudden Death is a movie from 1995, directed by Peter Hymas, best known for writing and directing 2010, the year we made Contact, the sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey. This movie is also written by Gene Quintano, who wrote Police Academy 3 and 4, as well as Honeymoon Academy. This movie stars Jean-Claude Van Damme as a fire marshal who takes his kids to the Stanley Cup Finals, only to have the finals hijacked by Powers Booth and his gang of criminals, who hold the vice president and Jean-Claude's daughter hostage and demand $1 billion. This is your typical awesome and maybe the highest budgeted Jean-Claude film of the 90s. Tons of action, lots of government agents on phones, and lots of sick fight scenes with awesome deaths. My favorites being when Jean-Claude kills a guy by stabbing him with a chicken bone.
That was dope.
The final death is also fucking awesome.
It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I've watched
so
it multiple times on YouTube since then.
I was like,
nothing makes me laugh harder.
When it started happening, I'm like, that's not how they're gonna kill. That's exactly how they're gonna kill him. And I guffawed. It was great. So although Jean-Claude really shines in this film, Powers Booth as the villain is the real star here, in my opinion. He absolutely chews up scenery like it's bubble tape, and then just swallows it like bubble tape. Overall, this film was awesome. I had a great time, and it's somehow justified being an action film that was nearly an hour and 50 minutes long. Recommended to anyone who likes 90s action cheese. This is one of the overlooked but prototypical movies of the genre. 4 out of 5 soups.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I gave it as well. It's so much fun. It is. It's one that's never talked about in.
I can't believe I've never heard of this
like
film.
Die Hard and stuff like that.
This film had a $35 million budget, and like Ebert said of the film, something like, "Do we really need this many Die Hard clones?" Like, which I'm like, you're not wrong, but this is like the best one. This is like almost on the level of Die Hard.
In terms of pure enjoyability, yes, they use the entire hockey stadium as like a tool for the movie.
Yeah.
Every part of it is explored and used for like interesting and different fights.
Absolutely, yeah. And there, another one I really liked was the fight with the mascot. That was just dumb, but I loved it. Yeah, it was really good. Really fun film. Can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, he plays a fire marshal, and he somehow like there's so many plot holes in this movie. You can't think about it too hard.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at all because it's just pure fun. And it was at the time Jean-Claude Van Damme. He was saying that this is like my first A-tier film, and unfortunately, it didn't do that well at the box office.
No.
And his career just continued on a downward trajectory after that. But it's incredible for any listener of the podcast who likes movies at all.
Yeah.
Give it a look.
Like fun movies, go for it.
Now, my sentence for you is a movie I watched this summer that I'm still thinking about sometime later. Curious to see what you think of it. It's a film called Materialists.
From what year?
From 2025.
Okay. A new one.
Directed by Celine Song, who I believe did Past Lives.
Oh, real? Oh, I'm into that. Okay, Past Lives was great.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what you think of this one.
Yeah. All right, cool. Into it.
Definitely has some talking points. It's a good date movie. Would recommend it for such purposes.
Neat, because the last movie I watched on a date was Mean Guns, and I'm surprised they're still with me.
Yeah, as am I. You don't deserve them.
I don't. Like, after the movie, I'm like, I am so sorry.
Just like listener, we don't deserve you. You're too good to us. And School of Justice Studies, that goes for you too.
At Roger Williams? Yeah, absolutely. We don't deserve them. But you know what? They deserve us.
Yeah, that's true. And us they get.
Indeed.
Shall we call it a day?
I think we shall.
I think we've blathered on long enough.
Indeed. If you like this podcast, please like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get podcasts. Yeah, and don't forget to give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. I think they take reviews now too.
Yeah, be in that review crew. We appreciate you. And I'm gonna say it. Lights out.
Lights out!